So apparently, I mean, if you listen to the administration, this whole Venezuela thing is it's just about drugs, right? Narco-terrorism. That's the line they keep feeding us. Except Representative Balint she completely exposed that as a total fake excuse for what is actually an illegal war. Honestly, she's making sense right now, because when you look at the justification, they are trying to sell us. It just falls apart. It's like they didn't even try to make it believable. It's terrifying. Let's watch this segment from MSNBC or MS Now, and I will give you my take later.
Joining us now, Democratic Congresswoman Becca Balint of Vermont. Congresswoman Balint, thank you very much for coming to the weekend. Give us your initial thoughts on the action that took place in the early morning hours in Caracas today.
Good morning, Jonathan. Look, I'm angry on behalf of Americans, on behalf of Congress, and most importantly, on behalf of our service members who were put in harm's way. And this was not necessary. This was not legal. And we saw this coming. This has been the plan the entire time. It was never about narco drug trafficking. This was about oil. This was about minerals. This was about regime change. There is no legal justification for what has happened. I'm outraged that nobody in Congress was briefed, including our leader, Hakeem Jeffries, that the committees of jurisdiction received no briefing. And this is dangerous, not just because of what this will mean for Venezuela in the region. It matters for our moral standing in the world. What does this mean for Taiwan, that we believe that we can go in and do regime change, that we can arrest a leader and kidnap them essentially and drag them to the United States? What does that mean for Ukraine? This matters not just in this instance, but what it means globally. And this is not what Americans want. They voted for this president in part because he said he was not interested in more foreign wars. And this runs completely counter to what he ran on. And I'm angry. You can hear it in my voice, I'm sure.
Congresswoman, you mentioned Taiwan, you mentioned Ukraine, but another nation that is out there in the president's crosshairs is Iran, where just a few days ago he talked about how our nation was locked and loaded against the Iranian regime and what they may or may not do to protesters there. Talk more about how concerned should Americans be that what we're seeing in Venezuela might not be the end, but the start of something bigger.
Yes, for a man that ran on a so-called peace platform, he has been saber rattling to places around the world. We should be very concerned about what his designs are with Iran. We should be deeply concerned that our elected officials, members of Congress and senators who are elected by the people to do the people's work, to uphold and defend the Constitution, are not being consulted. We had a war powers resolution that we put forward as Democrats. We can't do this alone. That's the other thing I wanted to say to you this morning. We cannot protect and defend the Constitution without our Republican colleagues. And it is just astonishing the amount of power my Republican colleagues have given away to this president, who is not at all doing what he said he would do on behalf of the American people. And it is deeply, deeply troubling. And I would like to know why it is that we are waiting till 11 o'clock today to get any kind of press conference related to this, outrageous military action in the region. And my heart goes out to all the Vermonters that have been deployed or in the region. And I also want to say, the president saying in an offhanded remark on Fox News, a couple of our guys got hit. This isn't a game, Mr. President. This is about our service members who sign up to protect and defend the Constitution and not do your bidding on a whim overseas.
Congresswoman, I have kind of a two-part question. One is that we have heard three different justifications for why the administration would do this, right? We have the narco arrest, and that's what Pam Bondi has said. There's regime change, which others have said. We had Ambassador John Bolton on. He talked about geopolitical machinations. You know, he's not in the administration, but this was his job to kind of think about this when he was there the first time. And there's also the cognitive dissonance for me of Trump doing this and capturing Maduro, saying that he's a narco-terrorist, while at the exact same time, just a couple of months ago, maybe weeks ago, time's a flat circle, pardoning Juan Orlando Hernández, the former president of Honduras, who was actually tried and convicted of narco-terrorism against the United States. And that is very difficult for me to parse in my mind.
And it's not just difficult for you, it's difficult for anyone that followed that pardon. I actually gave a very impassioned speech on the floor of the House about that exact case. You have the former president of Honduras who was tried and convicted in American court. And he was convicted in part for importing 400 tons of illegal drugs into the United States. And this President Trump, who claims that we are fighting narco-terrorists, pardoned him, gave him a full and complete unconditional pardon. So no, it isn't about narco-terrorists. It isn't about trying to make Americans safe from illegal drugs coming to our border. And, you know, Susie Wiles, the chief of staff to the president, sort of gave up the game in the Atlantic interview when she said, we're going to keep blowing up boats until we bring Maduro, you know, to his knees. This was never, ever about keeping Americans safe. And, you know, I think in the weeks and months to come, we will see the financial implications of this. So much of what this president does is about wealth and power and money and lining his pockets. We have so many examples of this. And this president has no consistent plan for how we relate to the international world.
Congresswoman, you brought up the chief of staff at the White House. She also told Vanity Fair in that article that a land strike in Venezuela would require congressional authorization. That's from chief of staff herself, Congresswoman Becca Balint. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
I mean, think about it. The Gang of Eight, these are the 8 people who are legally required to know when we start a war. And they were left completely out of the loop. Nobody told them. Hakeem Jeffries, the leader of the Democrats, sat there in the dark. It's just, how is that even legal? It completely bypasses the Constitution. You launch strikes because you feel like it? That is terrifying. And this whole peace platform thing, remember that? He ran on, what was it, stopping endless wars? Yeah, that was the whole pitch. And now look at where we are. It's just constant. It's constant escalation, saber rattling. It's the exact opposite of what people voted for. It feels like a bait and switch, doesn't it? Just a total betrayal. The excuse is just, it's insulting narco-terrorism. Really? Because if you actually look at the map, look at the resources, you see oil, you see minerals. It's always about the money. They wrap it in this flag of justice or whatever to sell it to us. Peel it back though, and you find a resource grab. You find regime change. Plain and simple. And did you catch that comment on Fox News? It was so casual. A couple of our guys got hit like it was a sports score. Like it was, I don't know, a bad weather report. These are human beings. These are service members putting their lives on the line, and he's brushing it off like it's a minor inconvenience. It makes my blood boil. It really does. Because the precedent this sets, that's the scary part. If we can just go in and kidnap a leader, just grab them. Think about what that says to the rest of the world. Think about what Taiwan thinks right now, or Ukraine. It destabilizes everything. It's like we're throwing a match into a powder keg and wondering why everyone is freaking out. It destroys our moral standing completely. And the hypocrisy, the hypocrisy is just, it's staggering. You have this guy, Juan Orlando Hernández, the former president of Honduras, convicted in our courts for moving, 400 tons? Yeah, 400 tons of drugs. And he gets a pardon, an unconditional pardon. So we let the actual drug trafficker go, and then we invade another country to catch a narco-terrorist. Make it make sense, please. It's just the mask is off. Especially when you hear what Susie Wiles said. That interview in The Atlantic, I think? Yeah, we're gonna keep blowing up boats. That's the strategy? Just blowing things up until they surrender? Call that what it is. Thuggery. Real foreign policy looks nothing like that. It's admitting the quiet part out loud. At the end of the day, it's about wealth. It's about power. It's about lining pockets. There is no plan here. There is no strategy for peace. It's just chaos. Profitable chaos. And we are the ones paying the price. Our troops are paying the price. And for what? So a few people can get richer? It's disgusting. Are you as furious about this hypocrisy as I am? Let me know in the comments if you think Congress needs to step in and stop this immediately. Don't forget to like and subscribe so we can keep exposing this mess. I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye.